You know that feeling when you check your bank account and your stomach drops? I'm going to show you the exact moment that feeling disappears forever. But here's what nobody tells you. It's not about the money itself. It's about what happens inside your brain the second you cross five figures. Picture this. You're 24, broke, living paycheck to paycheck. Your car makes a weird noise. You ignore it because acknowledging it means acknowledging you can't afford to fix it. That was me 3 years ago. Then something shifted. Fast forward to today, that same car problem, an annoyance, not a catastrophe, just an annoyance. What changed? One number, $10,000. Financial experts call this the most important milestone you'll ever hit. Not 100,000, not a million, 10,000, because this is where everything, and I mean everything, fundamentally changes. Let me ask you something. When you think about being wealthy, does it feel impossible? Like some distant fantasy reserved for other people? People who had rich parents or got lucky or just understood money in a way you never will? Yeah, that's the wall. But here's the truth. That wall, it's not real. It's psychological. And $10,000 is the sledgehammer that smashes right through it. See, at $1,000, you're still stuck in survival mode. 2,000, same thing. You're reacting. Life happens to you and you scramble to keep up. Every decision is short term because long term doesn't exist when you're worried about next month's rent. Therefore, most people stay trapped in that reactive cycle. They never break through. They never see the proof. But when you hit 10,000, everything inverts. Suddenly, wealth isn't this abstract concept anymore. It's sitting right there in your account, tangible, real, yours. You created it with your own discipline, your own sacrifice, your own decisions. And that proof rewires your brain. Here's what happened to me and what will happen to you. Once I hit 10,000, something clicked. The voice in my head that always said, "You're not good with money," went silent because now I had evidence, undeniable evidence that I could do this. 20,000 stopped feeling impossible. It felt like math. Just do what I did to get to 10 and do it again. 50,000, same formula. 100,000, suddenly it's not this mythical summit, it's just the next checkpoint. This is what psychologists call a confidence loop, but it only activates after you prove the concept to yourself. You have to see it to believe it, and 10,000 is where you finally see it. Before that, you're operating on faith, hope, other people's advice. After, you're operating on data, your own data. Therefore, $10,000 isn't just money, it's transformation. It's the moment you stop being someone who tries to save and become someone who does save. You shift from Homo sapiens, reactive, impulsive, driven by immediate needs, to Homo economicus, strategic, calculated, thinking in years instead of weeks. Okay, let's get real for a second. Life doesn't care about your plans. Your transmission can blow tomorrow. Your laptop can die. Your tooth can crack. And when you have $500 in your account, each of those events is devastating, not just financially, emotionally, psychologically. You go into debt, high interest debt, the kind that compounds against you instead of for you. And beyond the money, there's the shame, the embarrassment, the feeling that you're failing at being an adult. Harvard research shows something fascinating. Money doesn't prevent bad things from happening, but it completely changes how those bad things affect you. The intensity of the stress drops dramatically. A $2,000 car repair when you have $500, that's a month of panic, stress eating, fighting with your partner, sleepless nights. That same repair when you have $10,000, it sucks, you're annoyed, you pay it, you move on with your life. Therefore, $10,000 acts like a shield, not against the events themselves, but against the life-destroying intensity of those events. And here's something nobody talks about. There's this thing called the silence. It's the absence of that constant background noise, that anxiety hum that follows you everywhere. Can I afford this? What if I get fired? What happens if... When you have $10,000, that noise stops. You can breathe fully, deeply, for the first time in years. Let me tell you about my friend Marcus. 2 years ago, he was working for a boss who belittled him daily, micromanaged everything, made him feel worthless. Could he quit? No, because he had $300 in his account and rent due in 2 weeks. So he stayed, miserable, trapped. Fast forward 18 months, Marcus hits $10,000. His boss pulls the same garbage during a Monday meeting. Marcus quits that afternoon. Not impulsively, strategically. He had his cushion, he had options, he had what I call the power of no. See, when you're broke, you're forced to say yes to everything. Bad jobs, terrible clients, living situations that drain your soul. You don't have leverage. You don't have choices. But $10,000, that gives you leverage. You can wait for the better job offer. You can negotiate. You can walk away from toxic situations. You gain agency over your own life. Therefore, your decision making fundamentally shifts. You stop being reactive and start being selective. Opportunities that would have looked amazing at $0 suddenly look mediocre at $10,000. Your standards rise, not in an entitled way, in a I respect myself way. And here's the kicker. You become more protective of your money. When you see that five-figure balance, something primal activates. You don't want to go backward. You've worked too hard to get there. So you stop wasting money on lifestyle creep, on impulse purchases, on things you don't actually need. Your relationship with money matures. Suddenly, you're aging your money, living on income from months ago, not desperately waiting for next Friday's paycheck. That paycheck to paycheck anxiety? Gone. Here's where it gets exciting. $10,000 isn't just psychological, it's mechanical. It's the minimum entry ticket to wealth acceleration. Certain high-yield accounts require $5,000 to $10,000 minimums. Specific investment funds won't even let you in below that threshold. Real estate opportunities, business ventures, even certain bank negotiations, they all start around this number. Therefore, 10,000 is your launch pad. It's where you stop being a spectator and start being a player. But let's talk about the real game changer, compounding. Mathematically, compounding works on any amount, $100, $1,000, whatever. But practically, psychologically, 10,000 is where compounding starts to feel like money. 5% annual return on $1,000, that's 50 bucks. Nice dinner. Cool. 5% on $10,000, that's $500. That's a car payment, a flight somewhere, a chunk of next month's rent. Suddenly, your money is working for you, actively, visibly. You can see it growing without you lifting a finger. And that visibility, it's intoxicating. It makes you want to save more, invest more, optimize more. The wheel starts spinning faster. Here's something counterintuitive. $10,000 makes you braver, not reckless, braver. When you have zero cushion, you can't take chances. Starting that side hustle, too risky. Taking that online course to upgrade your skills, can't afford it. Asking for a raise, what if they fire you? But with $10,000, you have a net. You can take calculated risks because you know you won't be homeless if things don't work immediately. Therefore, 10,000 unlocks opportunity in a way smaller amounts never could. You can invest in yourself, your education, your business ideas, your growth. And statistically, those are the investments with the highest returns. Not stocks, not crypto, you. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Getting to $10,000 is brutal. It's the hardest financial milestone you'll ever hit. Why? Because you have zero momentum. You're starting from a standstill, pushing the heaviest wheel with pure muscle and willpower. At $0, 100% of your growth comes from your sacrifice, your discipline, your labor. There are no tailwinds, no dividends helping, nothing. You're doing it alone. And you're fighting your old self the entire time. You have to say no to friends who want to go out. You have to skip the vacation everyone's taking. You have to endure the boring middle phase where progress feels painfully, agonizingly slow. You're rewriting your money story, and that story has been embedded in your brain for decades. Therefore, most people quit. They make it to 2,000, hit a birthday, blow it on a trip, and restart at zero. They never break through. But here's the thing investors know. There's this rule called the 1/4 rule. Getting to your first $100,000 takes about as much time and effort as getting from 100,000 to 1 million. 10,000 is the first 10% of that hardest climb. It's the proof that you can finish it. I remember the exact moment I hit $10,000. I was sitting in my car, parked outside a grocery store. I checked my banking app like I did every morning, and there it was, $10,023.47. I didn't celebrate, I didn't tell anyone. I just sat there feeling different. The world looked the same, but I knew something had shifted inside me permanently. That weight I'd been carrying, the one that whispered, "You're bad with money," every time I opened my wallet, it lifted. I drove home differently. I walked into my apartment differently. I existed differently because I had proof now. I had evidence that I could build something, that discipline works, that I wasn't doomed to be broke forever. Therefore, if you're at zero right now, or 500 or 3,000, I need you to understand something. $10,000 is waiting for you, not as some impossible dream, as a math problem you're fully capable of solving. Every decision compounds. Every dollar saved is a vote for your future self. Every no today is a yes to the life you actually want. And when you hit that number, when you see those five figures staring back at you, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The silence, the shield, the power, the confidence. Everything changes. Not overnight, not all at once, but definitely, permanently, completely. So start today, not tomorrow, not next month. Today. Track your spending. Cut one unnecessary expense. Automate your savings. Make it impossible to fail. Because on the other side of $10,000, there's a version of you waiting who's calmer, stronger, freer. And that person, they're worth every sacrifice you're about to make. Let's go build your shield.